YouTube spread bumps. We're flying. It's a 1.1 meter arrows. P-51, beautiful. But we've been fighting a little bit with the batteries. This will be our third flight. We're just gonna show you what we're doing now. We have adjusted our rudder to give us a little bit more output throw, and we're hoping that that improves our odds at success. We've done a couple of different changes, and we have a super duper duper light rain going on here. And it's just kind of a one single storm cloud going over, so we're gonna keep flying anyway. Okay, here we go. Take off flaps. Oh, a lot better with that extra hole worth of authority. Oh yeah. If that's all it took, guys, look at that. So much better now. Look at this. On 4S, guys. Stock ESC, 40 amp, no problems. Gen's Ace happens to have a Dean's connector on the batteries, so make sure you know how to or get an adapter, okay? Beautiful. I happen to be using the wrong type of adapter, not that it really matters as long as it goes in the hole. Okay, take off flaps. Landing flaps. This plane will bite you. Even with AS3X, we're in 2X for our gains. And we're just over 50%. So that's a lot of gains, but look how gorgeous that thing looks. Just remember, on 4S, you can get out of trouble real easy. If you're on 3S, this thing is very slow compared to 4S. It's probably I would say that it's at least, if not half the speed, it's a third the speed slower. High speed pass coming. You good? Mm-hmm. But look at the difference in flight performance compared to this and our first flight. Our first flight about bit it into the house. This second flight about bit it on a couple of landing attempts. Guys, I don't have problems landing planes like that. Not generally. Full landing flaps coming in. Under the power lines. Beautiful light rain. Okay, into the full throttle. Oh, we also have a 3-second deployment speed, and our corrections on the elevator were perfect. You guys hear that noise when the rain hits the prop? It sounds like a big pop. Good roll rate. Feels rock solid now. The AS3X is just juicy on this thing. Elevator is not pitchy anymore. 4S 2200 is where it's at on this plane. Don't even get a 3S. It's a waste of your time. You will not like the way it flies unless you add nose weight. If you had nose weight, you might be okay, but then it's gonna be weak and you're gonna be on the edge of crash all the time. I can tell you this with some level of certainty because our first flight was that, and we're gonna share it right at the end of our maidens. It'll go in this order. It'll go this flight, then it'll go the Smart 2200 4S 50C that I could barely get out after my flight, which about 8 minutes or so, 7.5, 8 minutes, something like that. This flight's gonna be 6.5, and we're gonna try to respect the timer if we can, at all possible.
Can you?
I don't know, maybe. I can already tell we're getting a little bit less juice. So what I wanna do is I wanna come over here. We're kind of hugging the building to try to keep water off the transmitter. Camera crew and I might be a little bit apart from one another, so apologies if I kind of go out of frame for just a quick second. Full landing flaps here. Really trying to slow it down. It's doing really a good job. The plane flies great. I didn't like that approach. Don't go any further to the right. You blocked me on the path there, camera crew. Thank you. You're fine where you are now. Just don't go any further to your right. And as usual, you guys can't kind of see our proximity. She's about 20 feet away from me right now. Full landing flaps here. Let's try for a touch and go. Oh yeah, into ground effect. We got a good bounce and go. Guys, we're making it look gorgeous now. I'm loving it. This plane is absolutely phenomenal looking. It goes together in a hurry. You're gonna love flying it if you do it right. And I'm telling you, if you do it as per stock, you are gonna hate it. Because our first stock flight was terrifical. That's sort of an ambiguous word. It was terrible, guys. It was terrifically terrible. Jank it. Pretty crazy moves like that, right? Cornhole, get it flying. Look at that. You don't see your planes do that very often. The reason I'm showing you that is because this is a rock solid platform, but you are gonna have to get it working right. And if you don't, it's gonna fly like crap and you're gonna say, Brian, why did you sell me a turd? You sold me on a turd, Brian. And I'll be like, no, I didn't. I showed you exactly how to take it from beautiful flying turd to good flying non-turd. So if you guys are here on Brian Phillips RC, you've seen our stuff before. You know what we do here. We take them, we unbox them, we build them, we radio setup. Some of the brands we work with have such a clean and well thought out product that we never have to do hardly anything. And so as a result, we kind of become a non-factor. But then you get a plane like this, which is from a reputable, good brand, sold by a good distributor that wants to back up a good product and yet flies pretty raunchy on its first maiden flight as prescribed by the manual. With my little twist. Look how good it's flying now though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like gorgeous compared to what it was.
Night and day difference.
Night and day. And you know what? The other 1.1 meter warbird from Arrows, same symptom. Uh-oh. Okay. Sorry, cam crew. Gear coming out. Landing flaps coming out. Get into our base leg and kind of like a nice, smooth, relaxed, not a sharp turn. Going over the tree line at the low point. Got to stay in it so I don't get caught by the grass. Sorry, guys. I'm janking that thing up. You know why? That was an absolutely ugly landing. You'll notice I had enough authority to get that thing off without crashing. Could probably use another hole. Full landing flaps. Trying to keep my attitude nose down, folks. A little bit more throttle. Oh God, it's flying 100 miles an hour. Try again. Even the barn doors, hon. Mm-hmm. Even with barn doors, it just wants to carry so much inertia. And I don't want to get into a nose up attitude because it will stall and it will crash. Guaranteed. Full landing flaps going in right now. Woo! I should have lost that plane just then, but I didn't. So guys, what have we learned? Brian screams like a girl. You already knew that though. Secondly, your speakers are always at risk when you're watching a Brian Phillips RC video. Thirdly, this thing is absolutely gorgeous looking, but looks can be deceiving, folks. If you get this plane, do not expect it to fly like a 1.2 meter offering. Expect it to fly more like a 1.5 meter offering. And guess what? I wasn't a big fan of that one. I love the way this plane looks. I love the way this plane goes together. I love the way we have it flying now. I hated it on a Maiden. I was like, what have we got ourselves into? Now that being said, not in a dynam sense.
No.
Because get this, guys, when you have a plane that can be made to fly good, that is exactly what we do on this channel, is we take turds and we slather the makeup on them and we make them fly good. Look at this. You hear the noise? Mm-hmm. That was cool.
And there's a difference between a 20-minute build and then a few flights to get it figured out and be happy with it, and like a 12-hour build.
That ends up crappy anyway?
Ends up, yeah.
They want to see the plane. It's our neighbor. So that being said, folks, you saw it here on Brian Phillips RC. Definitely not first. You probably saw it like the 40th or 60th. But you know what? That's okay. Nice guys finish last. Isn't that what they say, camera crew?
Something like that.
Who are we talking about? Full landing flaps. We're gonna try to get a good landing for y'all. Okay, here we go. Oh yeah, there it is, guys.
That was good.
And we rolled in the grass. Okay, a couple things too to keep in mind. Despite our best offers of correcting these different things, our best efforts, the ground handling is still wonky. So keep on the mains. That is also not uncommon on P-51s because they have that really stout, you know, like they stand really narrow. If the tail was way out here, it wouldn't be such a big deal, but it's way up here. So you just don't have much room on the wheelbase. That being said, you can also align that a little bit better. We haven't messed with that. Maybe a little bit of trim could fix that. But I would say, yes, Gens Ace, let's go show the people how hard it is to get this battery out. Because it's 4S instead of 3S, all it is a pocket. And you slide your battery in and you have leads coming out. That's it.
Yep.
So what's going on here is that when you fly a battery hard, and we did fly that for darn near 10 minutes, okay? Careful you don't go in the mud. So on this plane, I'm gonna say something like this. If you fly hard and it puffs your pack, you may have to let it cool in your plane.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Yep.
Check this out. By the way, we got the swastikas here, so some of you guys are gonna like that. But they were kills, so it's like, you know, I mean, come on, guys. Let's at least be historically accurate, and since it's on the kill end of things, this is what I was talking about. You may need something like that. I built this one, I think. So, maybe I didn't. Maybe somebody sent us that.
I don't know.
If somebody sent us that, I apologize. Okay, voltage is at 3.63. We're 14.6 nominal, 3.67, 3.66, 3.72. That one's always high. Okay, so basically we're good. We're actually good. That's probably about right. Maybe a little bit more than some of you guys would do, a little bit less than some others would do. But look at this, guys. That is not fun. Oh
man.
This is the second pseudo-successful flight. And I don't want to rip my battery out. So I'm not sure if I'm just going to let it cool. And then that should allow it to kind of, you know, unbulk a little bit. Because that's what happens to these lipos when they get hot. But you can see the pocket is there and there's just nothing else you can do about it. You can't put it here. It will not CG out. No. You could put it there and then you could put a ton of nose weight, but then like your plane is gonna weigh 1,000,000 pounds. Yeah. The wing loading is gonna be terrible. So I would say your best bet is try not to yank on this. You're gonna have to pull on something. So if you can, put a strap on your battery. Because look at this, guys. Look how hard I'm pulling. That is not good for your battery. If you pull that hard, you may rip the leads and catch on fire in your plane. So do it outside at least. We don't talk about lipo safety much. We talk about prop safety and argue with people once in a while about that. We don't really stand to gain anything from people cutting themselves. So just be careful. But in this case, it's a lipo safety issue. Just be careful. If you do stuff a 4S 2200 in here, it'll fit. But if you're gonna do it consistently a lot, you may have to figure out a way to carve that foam. I don't know what I would do other than take a long 20,000th inch shim, which is about 12 inches long, heat it on my stove, go in there and just take out foam. That's the only way I can think to do it. You guys might have a different tool in mind, like a long flat bladed screwdriver would work, but just remember, you don't wanna take too much foam out because you gotta hold the battery tight still.
Right.
So also your ESC, you could rewire that so it comes up the top and then you could cut this little tray adapter thingy. There's no tray in there, but I'm just saying like then you would have a bigger pocket. So you could put a tall battery. You know, like a 2700 4S would probably make this thing fly even better. But the thing is you can't fit it, it's too wide. So this one happens to have the right dimensions up and down. And we are gonna just go ahead and grunt and pull it out because it's not about strength here, it's about I don't want to rip the end out of the battery because look how hard I'm pulling on that.
Yeah.
That is so not kosher for a battery. Look at that. I have literally pulled the lead from here to there. I don't want to sacrifice my battery.
Right.
But I like this plane. Look, the heat shrink, it's not like it puffed at all. It was just hard to fit in the first place.
Yeah.
But you see what I'm talking about though? Look at this. The heat shrink actually slipped on the pack. You guys see what I'm doing there?
Crazy.
See how this is tightening up? Crazy. So what you would have to do if you want to be kosher about the way you're doing this would be to turn around and use probably a piece of fabric that you can wrap around this and then hold together. And then you can pull hard on that to get this battery out.
But it's gonna have to be really thin.
I know,
you
because
don't
you're
have
adding,
extra room.
you're adding product, you're adding thickness. I'm with you totally, camera crew. But actually, the Gen Ace battery did great.
Yeah,
it did every bit as good. It actually didn't puff. The 50C Smart battery did, but we flew that longer.
Yeah.
So anyway, guys, we'll show you the videos of the 2200 4S 50C in this case. Not brand new, but used Smart Pack. Didn't need an adapter for that because it went into the XT60 with the IC3 that was provided. That was a Gen 1 that had a balance lead, so we were able to use the adapter, I think. But either way.
That was a Gen.
Oh, that was a Gen 2? Okay, and we used the AR630 in there. And yes, my gain is set to the middle, but I'm on ×2, which means that on ×1, it would have been all the way there, or maybe just a hair back. Okay, so really feeling rock solid there. Otherwise, the rudder, we have, of course, moved to the middle hole from the outside hole for more control authority. You know what? Put it on the inside hole because you need a little bit more. I want to be moving the stick like 60, 70% max on a takeoff. This one, I'm stick to the side. And guess what? It still veers to the left. So what are you gonna do? Move it to the inside hole. That's all you're gonna do. The other thing too is if you can't tolerate all those changes, don't pick this particular plane. Pick another plane. And I'm gonna say this very clearly, guys. We work with a lot of good brands. Arrows via Hobby Zone through our links. They're great people. They're gonna take care of you. This is a good plane. It is worth buying, but it is definitely not a beginner plane. If somebody tells you otherwise, they're trying to sell you something or they don't know what they're talking about. This plane is hard to take off because of the huge P factor issue. And believe me, I've flown planes with huge P factors. FW190, for instance, 6S, that thing will flip itself over. V1200 goes 140 miles an hour. It will flip itself over. P factor galore, okay? So I know what I'm talking about there. I'm not a skilled enough pilot to make that a non-issue. For me, it's still an issue, even 7 years in. So if you're a brand new pilot, you will crash this plane before you get it in the air.
Yep.
Or it's gonna take off like this. It's gonna look so ugly, you're gonna be like, what the heck is that? That's not what Brian Phillips did. It is. But I did this. I did this, throttle cuts on. I did that. That is too much, guys.
Yeah.
So you see this? I'm on the middle hole. Put yours even on the inside hole. We're on the outside hole at the beginning. I'm gonna try to get on the inside hole, see if it's enough. It'll probably overshoot. We'll probably have a little oscillation on the AS3X, so we'll have to back off our gains just a hair, but should be no big deal. Anyway, 1.1 meter from Arrows. No BS review from Brian Phillips RC. Thanks, special thanks to the camera crew for filming all the shenanigans. She doesn't love it like I do, so it's a lot harder for her, but the thing is, the way you can help lessen the blow would be to buy these planes from the links, and then you'll help to support our small business here, whatever it is you want to call it that we're doing here. And we love to bring you guys these reviews, but that is the #1 way we feel like you can help bear some of the burden of the effort in bringing these videos. Of course, I love doing it, but she doesn't necessarily. She just loves me. So the other ways you can help, Patreon, PayPal, and then of course, don't forget to like the videos, click the bell for notifications. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And then you're gonna know about all the new and exciting reviews we've got. And guys, if you're brand new pilots and you're like, but Brian, I really want the 1.1 meter from Arrows. Well, then buy it, but just don't say I didn't warn you, because I want you guys to know that there are P-51s that you could fly that are a lot easier to manage, okay? So I just want to say that right now so that you don't beat me up over it. Get a few other planes under your belt and you can have this too, but I wouldn't start here, okay? And that's not to say that the Arrows lineup doesn't have some great beginner planes. They absolutely do. So Bigfoot, amazing. Husky would be probably in the realm of a beginner plane. What other one? Obviously the jets. They have the 50 millimeter jets, would probably in the beginner realm.
The smaller, like the Pioneer and the Hawkeye.
The Pioneer and the Hawkeye, obviously. But then what's the white one that's white and blue? It's got a 64 millimeter EDF. Starts with a V. I'm forgetting it right now.
The Prodigy, the Marlin.
The Marlin. The Marlin would be a great EDF to start with.
Yeah.
But again, you're like on opposite ends of the spectrum from the P-51. So we don't want to talk you out of this plane unless you're a beginner.
Right.
And if you're not a beginner and you can handle some P factor, you can handle a little bit of changes here and there. They weren't hard changes. They weren't like technical mods, but I am not a big fan of the battery issue.
Yeah.
I gotta say, that's hard to overcome, folks. So if you guys are watching at Hobby Zone, maybe you got a great battery size that you could recommend that's a little bit thinner, a little bit narrower, a little bit deeper, a little longer, you know, we could get into something that would fit better. Or, like I said, now that you can see it better, you can cut this tray and just make it accessible with a little bigger battery. I do love that it's very easy to put the battery in. I just hate that it's hard to get it out. All right, any thoughts, camera crew?
I think it's starting to rain again.
NX8's great. AR630, flawless, love it. Haven't had many problems with any of this radio gear. I think we had one that had one glitch, and it was like the position false indicated. But it worked, so we didn't care.
Yeah.
So we just kept going with the radio stuff, and it worked fine. Never had a problem on that plane. Anyway, beautiful plane, absolutely gorgeous. Don't let that trick you, beginners. Stay tuned. So much more from Brian Phillips RC. We're here to stop one and dones. YouTube Brett Phillips, P-51. 1.1 meter from Arrows. Beautiful, huge flaps. Okay. Set up beautifully with AR631. We have AS3X safe and off. Currently, we're going to take off with the AS3X on, and we're going to fly this on 4S 2200. That's a 50C pack because our 30C pack was a little bit too round. I wonder why.
No idea.
Throttle cuts off. Takeoff flaps dialed in. Everything's ready to rock. Don't let this thing run into you, okay? See what I'm talking about? Tail dragger. I don't know if the tail dragger's got like a little misalignment with the throttle. Okay, so let's just pop. All right, here goes nothing. Okay, in the air. Kind of a handful. There's full throttle on 4S. That's a little bit more power. First flight was on 3S. That is incredible. I mean, like, it comes to life, folks. On 3S, it was so tame. Takeoff flaps. Also, it feels like way better behaved because of the heavier battery. So I'm just gonna say this, guys, if you're watching this video in reverse order, as I expect you will, getting a little trim on the rudder so that it goes straight. You guys will wanna watch just how much better this is. By the way, look at that speed. That is good speed for a P-51. Good roll rate. Takeoff flaps coming in now. Let's see if we can slow it down. Landing flaps coming in now. Oh, it looks so gorgeous up against the trees. Beautiful drop tanks, and then watch the power. Booyah! Almost full rudder input just to do that climb out, guys. So one thing I'm gonna have to look at on this plane is, do we wanna go ahead and get a little extra rudder action in here? Because I'm giving about 25% rudder action to keep it level there. I almost feel like we need to stick it in the middle hole. What do you think, camera crew?
Can be risky.
Haha. You're so funny, camera crew. But no, seriously though, like the outside hole might just not be giving us enough authority of the rudder. Cornhole. Oh, it does great. Let it correct, get it flying, full throttle. There you go. Full landing flaps. Let's try for a touch and go. Over the vampire killing zone region. Whoa, look at that ground effect. Did you see that thing? That was not me.
Rejection.
That was Mother Nature smacking me in the air. Like, no soup for you. Oh, watch this. I want to show you one of my problems I'm having. Okay, so watch this. I'm going flat and level, 75% throttle, pretty fast, and then up elevator.
Jeez.
Do you see what's going on? It's janking like crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if there's drag somewhere from something, and I can't tell what it is. I can hear it. Okay, full landing flaps coming down. It's like an asymmetry somewhere. Or like maybe if we had like a bad servo or something. I don't know what it is, but there's a heck of a lot of torque on that motor, or on that prop rather. Not the motor so much. Great, I never set the timer. Oopsiekins.
You're just over 4 minutes.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay, if I'm at 4 minutes now, then that means I want to fly till about 7.
Okay.
So guys, what I can say is the ESCs and the Aeros planes have been tolerant of 4S, even though they're marketed as a 3S plane. And as you can see, this plane is just balls to the walls, for lack of better terms. Going on the inside, you good? Still a little bit on the crazy side, I would say. Let's go about 4 steps out so I can take either path. Just turn my gains up a little bit more even. I may go to 2 times on this plane instead of 1X. Because if I'm all the way up on my gain knob, then I want it to be neutrally about the middle, janking it. Look at that, guys, amazing. Watch it recover, so cool. Oh, and then by the way, we also have safe. Did you see that overcorrection? That was crazy. Okay, so here's safe. Safe mode. Okay, so I'm just gonna show you what's going on here. Don't be afraid to fly the plane. See? This plane would definitely not be a good beginner plane. Do not get it if you're a beginner. You will crash it and you will be sad and cry a lot. I just think that it's just like a powerhouse attached to a very small airframe. Let's come back here, please. Megan, there you go, good job. The silver's beautiful in the sky. I love the speed on 4S. On 3S, it's got plenty of power, but it's just not enough weight. And because where the battery goes, there's like a pocket that you slide it into instead of having like a tray or a spot that's just reserved where you've got, you know, straps and things. Let's try for touch and go or landing, depending on how this goes. We're at about like 5 minutes flight time.
Actually about 6.5.
Okay, 6.5. This is probably good landing time if I can get it down. In the grass. Ugh! I hate when I tip over on these planes because it's really easy to break the rudder. You can stay back there and you don't have to get muddy. The horizontal stabilizer is always fine. Excuse me, the vertical stabilizer is usually what ends up going on these. Or you'll get this little counterbalance on the top on some planes that breaks. This one's fine. So, initial thoughts. Absolutely gorgeous plane. Gorgeous. Flies fast. Looks like a beautiful P-51 up in the air. But even with AS3X, I'm still not convinced on this plane, okay? So we're gonna check. We do not have telemetry, but what we do have is the ability to change this right now, which we're gonna do. Forward programming. When it connects, you see where my gain is? It's like almost all the way up. So I'm gonna go to gyro settings, AS3X settings, and I'm just gonna go 2X. 2X, boom. Now I should be able to turn that down just a little bit past, or a little bit below half actually, and we're gonna see how that does. Now I'm not flying this for a long time. I'm just gonna take off quick, do a quick sorties. Now let's see if we can get this thing to work, because I think that the AS3X need to be stronger on the rudder. Hey hon, I need you way over my right. When these things fly crazy, I don't like the camera crew being in harm's way. So I get a little bit more touchy about her position. Okay, so you guys may not know this, but when we're filming, I'm going quick and we're in a fluid environment where we move a lot. So there's a lot of instructions that are shared between us.
We're not.
And we're not like in proximity, but our mics are in proximity to our mouth. So it always seems like we're really close, but we're not.
We're actually not usually.
It's kind of hard to put those together because you can't see me while I'm flying. Okay, here we go. Or it could be. See how much that kicks? That is full rudder, guys. Full rudder, 100% stick. So that means we don't have enough. Although I can say, gear up, I can say on the 2X mode, I feel a lot more in control. We have just a touch of wobble there. I think we're good. Look how fast it is, guys. Locked in, baby. Locked in like I wanted. Kick it. Wow, crazy. Let's let it fall. Get it flying, and then into the power. Guys, if you are wanting to get a little bit more skill as you're flying, one thing you can do is practice the plane's going out of control and regaining control, but give yourself attitude so you can practice full landing flaps. 30% throttle, keeping that wing from hitting the ground. Oh, we got raindrops. Okay, so we're gonna go around in a quick sorties. I gotta switch in front of you there for a second. So about 50% throttle, 100% throttle. I don't feel any sag at all, so we'll just go ahead and take it. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna come around and try for a nice, clean landing, full landing flaps coming out in our base leg. We're gonna cut down low on these trees, bring it down, fly it until we hit the ground. Did you guys see at the end there? She wanted to fall out from under me, but I got lucky because I stalled it at the right time. It's always better to fly a plane to the ground that likes to stall at slow speeds, but my goodness, how gorgeous is that thing? Okay, next change. We are switching the hull. So we're going inside, we're gonna do that, and then we'll continue this same video on a similar pack. So we'll be right back, stay tuned. Okay, so we're gonna talk about this. You see this little nick? That's from where the wire comes out of the 4S, because the way this pocket works, we haven't talked about this a lot. Oh my goodness, that's probably not a good sign. So that 4S, oh goodness gracious. That's really not fun on a battery to have to pull that hard, because I do not want to lose a battery for this plane. Oh my gosh, I'm pulling really hard, and how do you not damage this? You guys see what I'm dealing with, right? Okay. And it's not like you can easily carve this whole deep pocket out. Like, that's extremely challenging to do.
Right.
So I got a 2700 4S. I was hoping I could try to squeeze in there too as the next size, because we don't have another 4S. Oh man, if I break this battery, I'm gonna be so bummed. See, I pushed that to the limit. So that one's warm. It's dead. Not killed, dead. That is unfortunately a 3S 2200 beeping, and it is not gonna be big enough for us in this application. So let's try this 2700 4S, see if we can even fit it, because we're gonna be doing rudder adjustments next. See this? Show the people at home. There is not room for that. Now, is it possible if we were to like move the ESC, could we slide this in on the bottom? Like, could we take and just like maybe just temporarily move the ESC? Because is that even gonna make the pocket big enough for a 2700? It doesn't look like it to me. And I don't think you can just stuff this in there. That's too much of an extra width, don't you think?
Yeah.
And if you put it in the middle like this, right? There ain't no way that's gonna CG out. Let's try it.
No.
Let's just try, because we gotta rule it out at least. So 4S 2200 is about all we're gonna get. We have that Gens Ace one we could try. It's another good battery. Center of gravity's tail heavy, as expected.
Right.
Okay, well, that being said, this battery is not gonna probably work. It's just, even though it's a nice size, and the 3200 is not gonna work, it's way too big. The 4000 is way too big. 3200 3S is too big. So you're stuck in the 2200 world. So 2200 4S might be our only option there, because that last one we did was 2200 4S. That one is too puffed.
Yeah.
As is the new 50C that we just used. Okay, so our next step on this, I think we'll use a plane stand. The plane stand is just gonna give us a little easier time at this. So what we need is, we need a lot more rudder authority, a lot. Because I am not big on having 100% stick input just for a takeoff. Like, that's ludicrous. Okay, so rudder is here. We want it to be approximately straight, because it's straight now, okay? Okay, so let's undo this. Where did that go? Down or up? Okay, it needs to go up to come out. Oh my goodness, get out of there. Ooh. I'm just gonna literally go straight over and not mess with it any other little bit. Okay, so that's gonna make a big difference in control authority, right? So I'm hoping that that's enough, and I'm hoping that it doesn't call for a huge trim, but even if it does, not a big deal. Also, I'm gonna take off the drop tanks. Despite their gorgeous looks, they could be creating some sort of asymmetry. And again, I don't know if that's what's happening here. There was a dead bug in here and I was like, oh, that's so cool. I always love it when I kill bugs with my planes. You guys see that on the inlet? There's 2.
Oh, yep.
So cool. It's like we popped its cherry. Put some bugs in there. The other thing is I'm wondering if there's just like anything else we did that might be causing it to not be satisfactory on this. I don't know if I can really say anything about that. I feel like everything we've done has been pretty much like standard operating procedure, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
A little bit more expo than usual, but we've run into that on smaller planes. Sometimes we have to run a little extra expo. So I think for now, unless we can try the Gens Ace, if the Gens Ace, let's see if the Gens Ace will fall in that hole. Because if that does, then that would at least get us another battery we could use right off. Okay, so this one is 16.6, so we should actually be good. So we're 4.16, which is slightly off a full, 4.15, 4.21, and then 4.12. So yeah, so it's basically mostly fully charged. So all we need is, on this battery, this has a Dean's connection. So we need to go from Dean's, ideally, we would go from Dean's to IC3, but this is an EC3, which is exactly the same. So we should be fine there. And we'll slide that in and just kind of hope for the best. Oh yeah, buddy. Is it gonna go? Oh, I mean, by the skin of our teeth, guys. Yeah, I'm not sure that's gonna be the smartest move. Do you feel that?
What, how tight it is?
Like how tight it is, yeah.
Well,
Like, I mean, it's like, I mean, tight is good, especially for the battery, but tight is not good for getting it out after you've flown. Because think what's gonna happen to this. Even if I'm nice to this battery, there's gonna be a little bit of expansion, right? Maybe we can go vertical or upside down. It's not tall enough. So guys, we're looking at one of the potentially fatal flaws of this aircraft. What battery do you stuff in it? Last P-51 we did had a similar issue and we were able to overcome it, but we need the weight.
right.
So, Dean's to XT60 would be more appropriate. I think I have a Dean's to XT60 as well. Sorry folks, I forgot there was an XT60 on there. So Dean's to XT60. That should work, I hope, maybe. Oh, no, wrong type of Dean's. See this? Show the people quick while I dig for my other one.
Oh, this is the wrong.
Yeah, put it up there next to it and they'll see exactly what you're talking about. Yeah? You see what I'm talking about?
Yep.
That's why you end up with bags and bags and bags of connectors. Because if you're like me, this is all part of the show. So when you come to Brian Phillips RC, we'll help you understand what it is you need. And sometimes we show you exactly how to do it. Other times we just kind of show you what we did at one point in the history of our channel sometime.
And then when your wife is like, didn't you just build a connector last week?
And you're like, yeah, I
Yes,
did.
I only need 27 more.
Yeah, so basically what I'm looking for is a very hyper-specific connector that I may actually not have, which is okay because I can still use this. It's just sort of hokey because if I'm going to use an adapter, I like to have an adapter that goes to the right adapter. Because even though this adapter will slide into an XT60, I find it kind of lame-o to use an adapter improperly. It just doesn't make sense to me. But that's exactly what we're going to do.
You don't have it.
Yeah. So this will definitely work though, okay? Ooh, nice and crispy sounding. Okay, so we'll get that in there. Now this is a Gens Ace. It does go a little bit further forward than the Smart one did. And it allows us to put that all the way in a little bit easier, which is kind of nice. So we felt a singular raindrop at the end of our other flight. So I think what we're gonna do is we'll go out there, we'll pretend like this never happened. We'll start off from scratch, and then hopefully you guys can see it in reverse order, and we'll end up with a Gens Ace 4S 2200. Was that a 50C or 45C or something like that?
I don't even know.
Whatever it is, I'm not pulling it out to test.
Nope, not now.
So our timer is cleared. We had it set originally. We had it originally set to 5 minutes, and that was probably just a little bit short. So I think I'm gonna go 6 minutes 30. That should be fine, right?
Yeah.
Because we were getting like 8 minutes of flight time. And then if you don't already do it when you're flying, you gotta have something to protect your eyes in case the sun pops out, even though it's cloudy. So stay tuned, guys. If you want to help support the channel, and some of these planes take a little bit of shenanigans to get flying good, but once we get them flying good, then you have all the recipes that we use to get them flying good. So if you want to help reward us a little bit, when you are buying the plane, buy it from the links in our video description below. You'll help support our channel financially and help keep the camera crew from murdering me in my sleep. So I appreciate you saving my life. But also, if you want to just do Patreon or PayPal, we have that option as well. And then BrianPhillipsRC.com. You can see where it's all at. Thanks for watching, guys. YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. We've got a new plane, a 1.1 meter P-51 Mustang. Absolutely gorgeous. Huge detail for a small package. Currently, we have a 3S 2200. Look at these retracts, beautiful retracts, big barn door flaps. You guys know I'm a sucker for flaps. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and put it on the ground, hopefully get a couple flights before this, whatever this is in the sky, turns into something like rain. Okay, we used an AR-630 in this plane, and we'll show you exactly how to do that in the radio setup portion of the unbox build radio setup. But this is the Maiden, so it is a separate video. They are published at the same time, so you can just go to the playlist and check it out if you're curious. All right, without further ado, guys, here we go. 5 minute timer started already. Ooh, crazy amounts of almost didn't make it. Wow, need a lot more rudder. Did you see how bad that was?
That's pretty crazy.
Okay, I got my glasses on. Gosh, I don't remember seeing any mechanical issue with the straightness. Also feels pitchy, almost like it needs a little bit bigger battery, and the gains are a little bit too low. Turn the gains up a little bit on my right knob. Oh, maybe it's not so bad. Man, 3S, it just, it's got power to do what it needs to do, but it just feels like it's maybe needs a little bit more oomph to it. There we go, there we go. Get her speeding along a little bit and she does a little better. Wow. Down elevator. There we go. Look at that pitchy behavior. I don't like it at all. Quit being weird. Okay, a little bit more gain. We'll see how that does. I feel like the CG maybe has got a little bit on the tail heavy side possibly. I mean, dang, it looks good though when it's going straight. Really good. I'm gonna go to my high expo and lowest rates. Really kind of having to actively fly this thing, guys, but it looks good. I feel like it needs a bigger battery just to get it balanced out, which is so weird. I feel like I'm talking about the last 1.1 we did for arrows, which was the F4U Corsair. And guess what? Right overhead. Guess what? It needed a bigger battery too. And it's not like it's tremendously windy. Sorry about clipping the edge of the field of view there. The AR-630 has definitely got enough gain authority here. I'm going up to about 80% maybe on my knob. So yeah, we'll have to relearn the gains. Feels really good when you're going fast. Definitely have a super touchy elevator. Could use a little bit more expo there, probably going from 10% to about 30. Feeling really good in the air now. Let's slow down here a little bit. Remember, slow flight determines goodness, in my opinion. If you can't fly it slow, it's not a very good plane. Okay, out of the flaps. Got a little bit of a pitch down effect there. Might want to change my 2 seconds on the flap mode to 3 inside. Let's go 4 steps to our right quick. Thank you, good job. Way to go. Right in the bowl, rolling out. So folks, as you can see, it looks a little better than when we first took off, where I barely missed the house. Plenty of rudder authority in the air. I just wonder if we had a trim issue going. Okay, let's try full landing flaps this time. Takeoff flaps are in, full landing flaps here. Checking for too much correction. Oh yeah, slows down beautifully, folks. Okay, out of that, it gets a little bit pitchy. There's full rudder. Whoa, she rolled over something fierce there. I didn't like that at all. I don't know if you guys could tell, but it was like I was trying to give it a lot of rudder, and then finally when it picked up, it just like overdid it. Into takeoff flaps, they're out of the takeoff flaps now. About 60% throttle. This 3S might be just a little bit low on power, I think is part of the problem. So you don't feel that confidence you'd like to feel when you know you can get out of trouble if something comes up. But man, it is beautiful. Okay, we're coming up against our timer. We do have a voltage alarm. Okay, full landing flaps here. I want to see the gear come out real quick. Oh yeah, everything's out good. And it looks like the windsock is telling the tail. Okay, out of the flaps, out of the gear. Camera crew, you want to kind of come back over to your starting spot there. That'd be great. Perfect. And we're going to try taking the landing. You might want to go 4 steps to your right. Perfect, right there. Okay, full landing flaps out. And gear, we're going into a base leg, banked and ready to kick the throttle up. You don't want to crash it yet. I've got some setting changes I want to make. Oh yeah. Beautiful, folks. But very little authority once on the ground. Throttle cuts on. Okay, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend like that was a great flight. It was pretty terrible, actually. Way too pitchy. Okay, let's make the first change we need to make. Oh, let's look at our trim too. Trim was 62% or 62 clicks on the rudder. That's a lot. Okay, so servo setup. Let's go to, not that, let's go to dual rates and expo. Ailerons were great. Elevator, this is the top one. We're going to put that to like, let's just not mess around. Let's go to 35 and let's make this like 45 with the rates of 80. Okay. And on ailerons, I felt it was pretty good on 20. So let's go ahead and let's do 20 and then let's do 30. Okay. And then rudder was fine. Like I didn't have a problem at all with rudder. So I'm gonna just leave that at 10. Okay, so we'll start in the middle. We've got a doubling effect and we got a halving effect, okay? So on elevator, I never did set my minimal, which would be like 10, okay? So we'll go to the middle setting. All right, so now flap system. Felt like we weren't getting too much nose down tendency and too much nose up tendency, but we did have a little bit of a pitch moment there, so I'm gonna just go to 3 seconds. That should help us with that adjustment. And then also, I want to take a look at our forward programming. We may have to walk closer to the plane for this. You have to be, I don't know what it is about forward programming, but you do have to be fairly close in certain conditions. I'm going to take out the flaps right now. Throttle cut is on. So we'll go down to forward programming. We're going to make a couple of quick adjustments. You can see where my gyro setting is way up. Gyro settings, AS3X settings. Okay, so let's capture gyro gains. Okay, so that's it. So capture gyro gains. Okay. See what happened there?
Mm-hmm.
See, now it's back to that. So that's what I wanted to set them to, was more. So what I want to do is I want to set my new neutral position to that. How do I do that? Oh, there we go. Okay, so yeah. That's probably it. Let's try that. Okay, so now, what do I want to do? I want to check voltage next to see where we are and see if we have any more fly time left. It's a little juicy out here, so if you just stay up there.
Okay.
We had a little bit of rain this week, so trying to keep from making a huge mess. So let's just check on our voltage alarm. That should be fine. 3.82, 3.82, 3.89. We have enough. We can go a little bit longer. We'll go for another sorties. We'll set a timer for like 2.5 minutes because 2.5 minutes should give us plenty of time to kind of vet some of our decisions there. So I'll go into my timer, reset this down to about 2 minutes 30. Okay, so guys, if you're wondering, when we do these reviews, the Maiden Flight, there's some adjustments. So if you're watching the unboxing after this, just be aware, follow what we do in the Maidens, not what you see in the unbox. If you see us make an adjustment, it's because we're adjusting to what we experienced, okay? So keep that in mind. All right, throttle cuts off, takeoff flaps deployed. We'll go ahead and taxi, full up elevator. Hey, let's go back to our starting position so we have lots of room. I wanna give myself a little bit of room on this takeoff, see if I can get it to roll and kick up onto its mains. I just feel like it just gets, it's like every other warbird we've ever flown. I'm not gonna have enough room, am I? Mm-mm. Okay, I'll go get it. Crosswind slight, which might have exaggerated and wind vaned us a little bit. So we're gonna try this again. Takeoff flaps are deployed. I'm pointed almost directly into the wind. Elevator, everything's working, lots of rudder authority. Okay, full up elevator, get it rolling, then kick. Whoa, geez, you guys see that? How much P factor there is? It's like almost impossible to control. So I'm gonna go ahead and double back around. You wanna go back about 4 steps so I can see better? Okay, so we'll kick it around. All right, so here we go. We're gonna try this again. We're gonna like S zigzag, just bring it up. You see, it's just giving us so much trouble on wanting to torque itself over so bad that I'm trying my best to figure out a way to get enough rudder authority balanced in with the throttle. You guys have seen me fly a lot. I don't typically struggle with this, but evidently today's the day. Whoa, crappers. Holy goodness gracious. That was full rudder trying to get that thing in the air. Now that we're flying though, see, and this is where it's tough, guys, on YouTube. If somebody's trying to sell you a bill of goods, all they got to do is just say, look how good it looks now. That's why you're on Brian Phillips RC, because I'm going to tell you how terrible it was to get off the ground or how great it was. And I'm going to tell you the difference between this and its competitive brand offering just above it at a 1.2 meter is readiness to fly. This plane can be made to fly every bit as good, I believe. And it is beautiful. Do an inside out loop here real quick. And the weird thing is, I can land it okay. Switch sides, please. Perfect. But the thing is, the takeoff is just really insane amounts of P factor. Okay, gear coming out. Takeoff flaps. I'm gonna try a different line because of the different wind. Going to this low point. Okay, and full landing flaps. Oh, way too fast, I think. I may have to, holy cow! That was like complete garbage right there. I don't know if the rudder stuck or if I made a mistake or if I got ground in effect, if I got into ground effect and hit some wind, but I had very limited control. That's why I bailed out. You guys couldn't tell maybe, but I was stalling big time. Camera crew, could you tell?
I wasn't sure.
Okay, full landing flaps. Well, I guess grass ops are pretty good actually for a little plane.
Yeah.
Okay, so throttle cuts on, landing flaps are off, we're in neutral flaps. I am trying a bigger battery. This is acting terrible on 2200 3S, and it's exactly on the CG. So we're gonna come back with 3200 4S. We're not messing around. Okay guys, so hopefully with the other batteries, this thing flies better, because right now I would say it's flying like a tail-heavy monster. And that's with the AS3X. I didn't even try safe. I definitely know all the corrections are going in the right direction, but there is just like not enough rudder authority to keep the tail going right, which makes me think we may end up having to move this in just to get the thing to get off the ground properly, which is something we could do too. But for now, we're gonna try the 4S, give it some more oomph, and the 4S will make it a little heavier on the nose. Actually, a lot heavier. So we'll see how that turns out. Hopefully you liked it. If you wanna buy this plane for your own, you can see through watching the videos, probably in reverse order, we'll show you the best flight, and then you can go through and see all the little adjustments we made. So Brian Phillips RC signing out. Check out the Unbox Build Radio Setup, a separate video. If you wanna watch it, just go to the playlist and it's right there. Check the links in the video description below by the planes. Don't forget to like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications. Tell your friends, family, everybody you know, except for your boss. Get your boss into it first, and then that way if he walks in on you watching a 7-hour video, you won't get fired. Stay tuned.